see a book festival. It's pretty amazing. It is a huge pleasure
Oh,
to get
thank
to meet
you. Thank you so much for having me on camera.
That's right, here.
Yeah.
And we're so glad that you're at our festival. This festival's
you.
been pretty amazing so
Yeah,
far.
it has been. It's been awesome. Can't wait to come back next year and every
Yes.
year subsequently. So.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
hope to see you each time. I know I have a lot
Me
of
too.
students who are eager to meet you. So
Oh, that's so
for
sweet.
sure.
Yeah, it's been an amazing turnout actually. So I can't believe it's the first year.
Yeah. How do you feel about book festivals like this and the whole idea of the book festival?
Honestly, I think I was actually just thinking that I think book festivals are such a critical part of how readers and writers can connect. Now, I think it's really hard. I mean, traditional tours are very difficult and they're very alienating, I think, actually. And I think it's so nice to be able to, it kind of feels like summer camp to go to these festivals and see authors that
Sure.
you don't get to see in other contexts and reconnect with people. It feels really joyful. So I love them.
That's fantastic. Yeah, we had 1,500 students here
Yeah.
yesterday,
Yeah.
and I don't know how many I saw leaving who had books in their arms
I
who were
know.
just ecstatic. And
Yeah.
the amount of energy for these young people, I think, is just really phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great also for them to get to meet so many authors in one place, and it's great for the authors to have so many readers in one place. So,
Yeah. How do you feel as I mean, you have been very successful as an author, and you have a huge following. I've seen so many of my own students who are very excited that you're here. And how does that feel as how do you sort of balance that the weight of the interest that people have with your own work and what you do?
well, I mean, I think that I feel, both very proud of and a great responsibility toward my fans and my audience. I think also, I don't tend to focus very heavily on it. I try very much to do enough events that my readers, if they're, can meet me, that I'm out there in public. But I never, I think it's really important to be able to separate and distinguish your work and your writing from the expectations that are placed on you. Because otherwise I think that it begins to distort what you really want to do. It's hard. It's mental practice, basically. But I also don't feel like I never sit around being like, wow, I guess I've been successful. I mean, that's not not my experience of things. I'm always trying to do new things. I always want to reach more readers. I always, there's always more to do.
Absolutely. And you have a really kind of diverse range of books. You have a lot of books, and you've written some for very small readers, and some for a lot of for
High school.
the YA high school range, and then you even have a book for adults, Rooms, and they each touch a different demographic, and you approach them differently. How do you approach writing one book versus another, and moving up and down that demographic?
I mean, I think that the approach to writing, i.e. the process itself, is the same every time. So I think that the best, much like cooking, which I also do a lot of, where, you kind of, my philosophy in cooking is like you get the best ingredients you can and you try not to mess them up. You try to cook them in such a way that ultimately, their essence even becomes more amplified. Similarly, I think that as a writer, really what you try to do is you try to understand your character and their and the tension and the wants of that character, and then you kind of try to get out of the way. So in that sense, the process is the same each time. The characters just lead you different places, obviously. I was saying the other day, and I'll repeat it because now I think it's a really good way of thinking about it. But I do think that the possibilities are different. I think that the central concerns of children's literature, teen literature, and then adult literature are different. I think that children's literature actually is more an exploration of the world. What is possible in the world?
Yes.
What is possible in other worlds? I think teen literature is an exploration of the self. So who am I going to be? What does it mean to be a good person or a bad person? Which one am I? Am I lovable? All of those questions about self. And then I think that adult literature concerns itself primarily with meaning. So what is the meaning of everything? And is there a meaning? And how is it embodied in our daily lives? So, I do think there's distinctions. But again, the process is kind of similar.
Sure. Yeah, that's. I love the way you phrased that.
Thank you.
And thinking back of the books I've read of yours and all the different areas, that I can definitely hear that.
Thank you.
That's fantastic. You have so many wonderful books, and way more than we could talk about right now. Before I Fall is very, very popular, and it's going to be a movie. Is that correct?
Yep, the movie has been filmed in December, and so and it's really, honestly, I couldn't be happier with the script. With the casting is almost uncanny, honestly. I actually felt while I was on set that it was almost disturbing. It felt like almost like somebody had reached inside of me. Yeah, it was like a prostate exam or something. I've never had one, but it's what I imagine one would be like. Anyway, but I'm very, very excited about that, and hopefully we'll have a release date soon. Should be out later this year, and then I'm excited. Yeah,
That's great. I love that book.
Yeah.
Before I Fall, just and again, the idea of the self, finding the self. It's a huge process, and yet the time doesn't change. She doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
development from beginning to end, and to make the ending so intensely emotional. And I feel
Thank
like,
you.
it's a hard book to talk about because too much talking reveals too much.
Right,
and
right,
so
right, yeah.
this is the sort of book I'm just like, you just have to read this.
Well,
Just
and
do
I
it.
always have to tell people, it's true. I mean, at the start, she's also such a horrific kind of person. I'd actually forgotten. I had to reread it recently because we did a special edition that had some extra short stories and interviews and a list of about 500 terrible titles that we came up with on the way to Before I Fall. And I'd forgotten how terrible she was, actually. And it's funny because even from a distance, now being 6 years older or 7 years older than when I wrote it, I was much more impacted by her meanness. You know, and felt as like a grown up, like, oh my God, how could this child do this to another child? So,
Sure.
but you know, so I always have to tell people, I'm like, just stick with Sam. She gets better, I promise. Yeah.
Well, yes, it was, sometimes it's difficult to read about teen meanness. And
Yeah.
there are, because it's a real thing and
Yeah.
people really feel it. But even in spite of her just complete apathy towards people who are not, people
Yeah.
who are suffering at the
Yeah.
beginning, but I think there's still a hint in her
Yeah.
that there's
Yeah.
the possibility for good. And I think that's what helps sustain us through the beginning. And then when you see it more and more,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
opens
Well, you
up.
have to. And actually, that was very important. And that was actually my business partner, Alexa, had actually put that. That was her comment. That was the original comment when I was first writing the book. Was that she was like, she has to have glimmers at the beginning, otherwise you can't. It's intolerable.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And what's your newest book? And when is that
So
coming out?
my newest book is called. Well, I have a middle grade series. It's called Curiosity House, and there's a new book that comes out in that series, Curiosity House and the Screaming Statues. Comes out in May. But I'm really excited. My next teen book I worked on for about 2.5 years, and it's called Replica, and it comes out in the fall. It's October 4th, and it's 2 books in one.
Okay.
They're 2 independent. They're independent but interdependent stories, and you can read the book any way you want. One book first, then the other, in either order, or you can alternate the chapters. So
Okay.
it's going to be very.
Well, that's
should be
kind
fun.
of exciting.
Yeah, it
absolutely.
is. Yeah.
Well, I look forward to reading it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lauren.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to meet you, and so amazing to sit beside you on this couch.
Yeah,
and
of course.
interview you.
Thank you. Okay.